How Europe Underdeveloped. In 2011, an African young scholar and activist came across Dr. Walter Rodney's classic book, How Europe Underdeveloped Africa. Dr. Rodney's submissions piqued the interest of the young activist, resulting in an academic paper on Africa's development and subsequently the birth of the Young African Leaders Forum, YALF.
Dr. Walter Rodney has been a great influence in my own life. The first time I got to hear or even know about Dr. Walter Rodney, it was the first time I got a hold of his book, How Europe Underdeveloped Africa. That book changed everything about my thinking. I studied the content and it made me quite particular about Africa's sustainable development.
Fast forward to 2014, the young activist Prince Ifo connected with like-minded young leaders from 8 African nations to kickstart the prestigious youth organization, aspiring to uphold the Pan-African concept, to bring to life Dr. Rodney's ideals, and to mold a new generation of informed African change makers, working with partners such as the Walter Rodney Foundation.
Our generation working to apply sustainable development in real life for the better future for our next generation in mainland, in Africa and diaspora. We are following our intellectual leaders like Rodney, like Dr. Mazrui, Dr. Hassan Turabi, and we are following our political leaders like Tommy Sankara, like our father Mandela, who taught us how to live in peaceful coexistence in Africa.
The organization immediately started with youth capacity building programs in the form of seminars, trainings, conferences, summits, business symposiums, and development research.
YALF is a Pan-African organization with a major objective to effectuate sustainable development in African countries. How do we intend to achieve that? We achieve that by empowering young people and preparing a new generation of leaders for the continent.
The organization has directly empowered about 300,000 young people in different African communities.
But the questions we are asking, are people like Walter Rodney to be mourned? And I am submitting to you that such men never mourn. Such men are to be celebrated. Such men never die.
His work has been influential in African history and in development studies.
In relation to Pan-Africanism, this is an ideology that advocates for fostering solidarity amongst African people to ensure political and economic progress for the Agenda 2063, the Africa we want.
In 2015, the organization established the Young African Leaders Journal of Development, YALJOD, which seeks to influence policy decision-making in the African continent. The journal aims to document the aspirations of young Africans and present them to policymakers and stakeholders for implementation. In 2016 and 2018, respectively, the first and second editions of the journal were launched in partnership with the African Union at the African Union headquarters. Since then, 4 editions have been published. The biennial publication is hosted by Kennesaw State University in Georgia, USA, and the digital version can be accessed at digitalcommons.kennesaw.edu/yaljot. The 5th edition is expected to be published in November of 2024. The fast-growing organization is currently represented in 28 African countries and the diaspora. It continues to create avenues to accelerate the engagement of young Africans in policy formulation and sustainable development of the African continent. One step at a time, the Young African Leaders Forum is tirelessly working towards securing the Africa we want through its network of radical ambassadors who are effecting change in their respective communities. To date, YALF ranks amongst Africa's formidable youth movements, thanks to the bravery of a young African scholar.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to the Echoes of Africanism show, a show that will feature issues that have been affecting African continent. And our show will be running will be run on monthly basis, and today we'll have our guest speakers here and on topics that will be the depth issues affecting African continent as well. Our co-host will be Madam Anita from Botswana, who will help me to invite the guest speakers. So, Madam Anita, you just welcome.
Hi, Florian. How are you?
I'm really fine. How is Botswana?
Botswana is amazing. It's amazing. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. Unfortunately, we are experiencing some, I don't know, crazy weather. And it just hit me that indeed climate change is here. So
Yeah,
we're going through it. We are experiencing all season all at the same time in one day. So, but other than that, all is well.
the same has been happening here in Tanzania. We have been observing a heavy rainfall, and it's because of climatic changes. So, climatic change is really affecting African continent for real. So that's a big issue we have to deal with.
We will short. I don't know when. In one of the coming episode, we'll talk about climate change. However, let's dive into this episode. On our guest list, we have Daniel. Daniel is joining us from Nigeria. Hi, Daniel. Daniel, you're muted.
Oh, thank you. Good morning, Anita. Good morning, Flora. Thank you for having me today.
You're welcome. How is Nigeria? How is the weather? How is the people?
Nigeria is good this morning. Where I am in Ogun State, the weather is cool. And I think this is quite surprising because through December and early January, it was kind of hot over here in Ogun State. But coming to late January now, we are having the cold, wet weather. But all together, I mean, it's great, and we're happy.
That is nice. That is amazing. We are waiting another guest from Ghana. When he comes in, we'll do an introduction of him. But going forward, we just played you that clip talking about YELF. YELF is the reason why we are here. YELF stands for the Young African Leaders Forum, a beautiful organization, a friendly, youthful organization that is set to change the mindsets of Africans and rebuild Africa. But without me putting words in my guest's mouth, let me give it to Daniel to just brief us on what EOF is and what it stands for.
All right, thank you, Anita. So just like you've said, and I've seen from the video, YAF stands for Young African Leaders Forum. I got to meet Prince Ifo, the founder and president of YAF, sometime 2017. And I heard him speak about YAF, what he's doing in the organization, and the Pan-African vision. For me, that was the first time I was hearing about the Pan-Africa vision, the Agenda 2063, and it was quite interesting for me. And I got to connect with him, and I became a member of the Young African Leaders Forum, got to know more. So as an organization, the Young African Leaders Forum is to really the sustainable development of Africa, the leadership of the continent, of the country. And they do this through several capacity building, dialogue, and then making connections between young people across different Africa countries. One of the top-notch program is the West Africa or the Pan-African Youth Forum or program. Three different editions, last three editions of the West African Youth Forum, West African Youth Summit, WIS, 2018, 2021, and 2022. And I think this happens across different regions across the African continent.
Okay, thank you for that one. You mentioned that you came across Prince. the founder of why we are all here. What was your impression when you first met him and when he gave you a background about what he's doing? And why did
Yeah,
you take the opportunity to be part of YELF?
yeah. So personally, as an individual, someone who is committed to positive change. I've been able to affiliate with some other youth-led organization previously, but meeting, a young leader in the person of Prince Ifo, and just seeing his passion, you know, cutting across this local community, cutting across his country to the continent. It was really intriguing. Like these are somebody and individuals out there who are looking beyond the local community, who are looking beyond the country and thinking about how Africa as a continent can be developed and how we can, bring together passionate young individuals to really drive this movement. So it was quite interesting for me and challenging that, we have these individuals out there who are leading change in a larger scale and thinking about the Pan-African vision. And so it got me reading, it got me thinking, and I was really impressed reading his profile and seeing what has been achieved through the Young African Leaders Forum. So for me, the attraction was number one, the depth of commitment. Number two was the knowledge. And number three was the investment in people.
I love the third one, investment in people. Do you have anything to say, Mr. Florian?
I like the last words of Mr. Daniel, the way he speak about people, and we really develop our human capital here in Africa, because that shall be one of our core drive to ensure that at least we as an African continent, we are developing our human capacity, human capital capacity. So that we can be able to capitalize the available resources in Africa, like other continents. What are they doing? So I think is a great idea for really, and a great initiative to for us to, as the help to do, because when we see other continents like Asia and America and other European countries, we see that they invested a lot into their human capital development, and that's why you can see they are driving development changes in their countries respectively. Also, we can have the example of Chinese government, the way they invest their effort into human capital development. So for us in Africa also, it's a hard time now. We really need to develop our human capital, because we really need engineers to do our infrastructure project here. We really need engineers to be in the industrial sectors here, especially in pharmaceutical industries here. We need agricultural specialists, so that who will help us to really develop who will help us to improve the agricultural sector in Africa, instead of exporting raw materials abroad. Exporting raw materials abroad, we can create even industrial sectors here, so we can increase our agricultural production here. For example, West Africa have been exporting cocoa to some of the Western countries, while we can build our factory here, started producing our chocolates here. The same have been happening in most African countries. We have been exporting even tanzanites, gold, diamonds in a raw material to be processed in outside Africa. Then once they came back here, we have to buy it in a lot of money. It's a really shame for African continent. I think it's high time now we have to invest on human capital, as what YELF is doing right now. This is a big agenda for us. In order to achieve 2063 agenda, as an Africa, we must ensure that human capital development has been putting at the center of all decision making, at the center of policy making bodies. And YELF will help with this. by using the talents that have been by using our talents as young people, using our young African leaders journey of development to disseminate our ideas and our experiences, skills to some of the policy making bodies in Africa. So that's my view, Anita.
I concur with your view. I really, really do. And I believe investing in people, especially the youth, it'll carry us far because we are the ones who are to hold down Africa when everyone is gone. So it is in our hands to do that. And I really salute Prince Ifu for taking time to see his dream come to life and not being subjected to only consider Nigeria to benefit, but the whole continent at large. I really, really do appreciate that for him, his part. Now, there has been things or projects, programs that YELF has been part of. If you may, can you please take us through what YELF's main objectives are?
Okay, yeah. So as per objective, I'll say number one, capacity building, which also align with investment in people, human capital development. So if we are to raise or young leaders who will drive African development, they necessarily need the need for capacity building, equipping these young leaders with the skills and the knowledge that they require to drive sustainable development. So that is one priority for the Young African Leaders Forum. Another is really opportunity for hobnobbing, connecting young leaders across different countries. And I think that's also the privilege of the opportunity we have to be on this space together. We have the West African Youth Summit Ambassador, and also we have the Youth Ambassador for YAF across different countries who are championing this movement. So that's really an opportunity to really hobnob, to connect, and then share ideas to drive the young, the development of the continent. One of the flagship program I mentioned is the Pan-African Youth Summit. I've been a participant, a delegate for the West African Youth Summit for the last 3 editions. And that happens across the different region. We have the Southern African Youth Summit. We also have the East African Youth Summit. Glad that for this year, 2024, the plans are all going so that we have this program executed across the different region. So through this Pan-African Youth Summit, we bring together, YAF brings together young African leaders who are passionate about the development of the countries, development of the continent, and then we listen to expertise, specialists who share their knowledge with this delegate at that forum. We've also, gone ahead to have periodic engagement through speaker series and workshop in partnership with other notable youth organization and African-centered organization towards building that capacity and that knowledge. It was surprising to know that right there on the street, you have very few individuals who have factual information or knowledge about the Agenda 2063. And that is about 10 years now since that has been on. And then if individuals in the continent, young people do not have this knowledge about the Agenda 2063, then how do we really move in towards the actualization of this Agenda 2063? So periodically, YAF brings together our speaker series workshop that really deepen the understanding of the vision towards collective development of the African continent. Beside this, there's also that intentional efforts to really reach across to students and young people, either in secondary school or tertiary institution. Sometime 2022, we have organized the robotic workshop for students in primary school who are primary and secondary school from underserved communities towards equipping them with the skills. Flora talked about the lack of skill development in the continent as compared to other regions of the world. So we understand the importance of skills development. So that is also one of the programs that YAF have implemented of recent. Another very essential, important program which I need to also spotlight is the Young African Leaders Journal of Development. Young African Leader Journal of Development, which is aimed at really fostering that collective progress and development of the African people, and also provided the blueprint for the development of the continent. If I remember where the journal was started, 2021, launched in partnership or with the support of the African Union. And we've been able to, or you have been able to produce a number of editions. And currently, the call for articles for the next edition is currently on. So it's also like an opportunity for young African leaders out there to come on board, to share their knowledge, share their expertise with other young Africans through the YAF journal. I think I'll stop there for now as an highlight, and then maybe viewers and out there can also explore the website of YAF to read more about the objective and the programs.
All right. Mr. Florian, do you have anything to add? Florian? Mr. Florian? I believe we have lost him there. Back to you, Danielle. You mentioned that there is the ongoing fourth edition issue, the journal. Can anyone who's not part of YOF write for this journal? And who qualifies to write?
Yes, so the writers or publishers in the journal, we do not really have restriction for the network or the organization. So anyone out there who is deeply interested and invested in African development and also is welcome to contribute to the journal. They have, but and the contributes to African development, and then you go through the writing requirements, submit your publication, and then the editorial team will look at it and say if this aligns with the objective and the thematic focus of the journal, and if not, if yes, will be accepted for publication.
And how does one know that they have been accepted? Do you give feedback, and what's the process afterwards?
Can you take that again, Anita?
After, let's say you have approved to submit the article of any interested individual across the continent, do you give them feedback that your article has been approved? You will see it on this date and so and so. Like, take us through the whole process up until the journal comes out. And are there any compensation? What comes with this journal?
Yes. So first, I'd like to refer viewers, listeners out there to the YAF website, where we have detailed information about the process. But notwithstanding, there is always the communication between the editorial team, the publisher, and any intending writer. You can also write to also get clarification on the process. So once the article is accepted, you are informed. If it's not accepted, or if there needs to be some sort of revision, there is that communication that also happens. And because for every year, for every publication, there's always like a launch of the journal where, and a public opening. So writers whose articles were featured in the journal are usually invited to be part of that event, either in person or physical or virtual, and then they launch the specific edition of the YAF journal.
All right.
In terms
That
of
is.
compensation,
Mhm.
in terms of compensation, at the moment, I'm not sure there is compensation for writers, but I think just having an opportunity, a platform to share your knowledge towards building that, increasing the capacity and knowledge base of readers out there towards the development of Africa, I think that is a very beautiful opportunity that every young individual out there, specialist who is really invested and interested in the development of the continent will be willing to take on.
Okay, thank you for that one. I'll come back to you to ask you more questions, but let me introduce our other guest. Hello, hi there. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you too?
I'm good. I believe you're joining us from Ghana.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, please. I'm joining you from Ghana.
Okay, can you give us
Hello, I can hear you.
okay, can you give us a background of who you are and your position with youth? Hello, we can't hear you, sir.
You can hear me. I think my network messing up. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. Sorry about that. My network is not very stable, I think. I am in the person of Gomina Bongpan Daoud from Ghana. I am a YALF ambassador, public speaker, and a Pan-Africanist, and I'm also a very young scholar. So that is
Right. It seems we've lost you again. The internet is really bad. I can't seem to grasp it as well this side.
well. Hello.
Hello?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but you keep on cutting. But I'll come back to you. Let me go back to Mr. Daniel.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Mr. Daniel, you mentioned we were still on the journal, the Yelf journal. What I am interested in finding out is what should writers write about? Do you have particular topics of interest that you want to relay or any sensitization that you want to speak about on this journal? Or anyone can write whatever affects them, the community, the country in any area of life, if I may say.
Okay, yeah, so we have a thematic focus area, notwithstanding there really isn't no strict restriction in as much as the article is focused on the development of the continent. So for YAF and the journal, there's the focus on education, there's the focus on entrepreneurship, there's the focus on technology. But aside from this focus and thematic area, articles that contributes to knowledge building and also the development of the continent are welcome.
Okay. All right. Mr. Gumina, I hope now your internet is stable.
I'm still struggling with it, but if you can hear me, then I'll proceed.
Okay. If you may, take us through your journey in joining YELF. What interested you? What drove you to this organization? And what can you highlight about it so far in your journey with them?
Thank you very much for the question, and good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are and join this conversation. Honestly speaking, I have been a very passionate young person from even the very early days of my life in primary school. I have had activities that were related to emancipation of my community, and growing up, I have been inspired by these African freedom fighters like Marcus Garvey, like Nelson Mandela, Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, Walter Sisulu, Robert Mangalisha Sobukwe, and Thomas Sankara, so many of them. And so I started in my own way through a community radio station, trying to educate people about the need for Africa to unite and the need for us to begin to have some kind of conversation that really shifts the narrative of the African and Africans in the diaspora. So that kind of radio program was dubbed Civic Revolution. And in the process of doing that, I realized that there is this growing young African movement. So I tried visiting the website and to see what really it was all about. Then I discovered that these young Africans were actually interested in actually shaping the narrative of the African for the current generations and generations yet to be born. And so a week later, I realized that they are even interested in getting ambassadors for the organization across the continent of Africa and beyond. And so I applied to be an ambassador for Ghana. And when I was interviewed, during the interview process, I was really so much amazed that people are really that inclined. And
Oh, we lost him. Oh my God. Oh my God. And I was really engaged in what he was saying. Mr. Florian, care to add something? Care to say something? It seems the internet is giving us a problem.
I see internet have been a problem to many of us here. And speaking about Africanism, is really it's really something which have a deep root from our ancestors and our founding fathers like Kwame Nkrumah, Mwalimu Nyerere, Patrick Lumumba, and in America also we see, as Monkman was saying, there is Marcus Garvey, and there is Martin Luther. All of them, they have been talking about African development, about removing colonialism in Africa. Because we, as an African continent, we really get independence, but in reality, the independence was not real. We have been a state which have been dominated by other countries. We don't have any kind of sovereignty here in Africa. So there is a new form of colonization in Africa, starting from trade liberalization, investment issues in education sectors, and they do that in form of grants and aid. So I think we need to overcome this issue as young people across Africa. We don't need to be an agent of new colonialism in Africa. We have really to fight for our generation, the coming generation. The future is ours, because most of the population of the African continent is the population of young people. So we are the one who gonna change Africa. We are the drive of change in Africa. So I think Pan-Africanism, it must be a core thinking of every young people in Africa. We have to come out and think out of the box. The way we used to take things, we have to change now. We have to have independence in our education sector, in agricultural sector, in investment sectors, in technological innovation. In every area, we really need independence. So how long this will last? Because I've seen even what is happening globally as an Africa, because we have been subjected to some of the big nations, We can't even have a say into the issues affecting international societies. So most of the African governments have been silenced because they have to listen to what their Lord say. So you cannot say that, oh, you are doing wrong to this community, or you are doing wrong to this country. No, you can't say that because it's your Lord. Then how can you say that? Even your Lord is just doing bad things. So you can't even stand in whatever side. And once you don't stand in any side, it means that you just stand with the oppressor. Like what late Mandela said. So you are not saying just quietly. People are dying. You're just staying quiet. You are not saying no, you have to stop this. But and the other side, you are not saying people have been dying. You just stay quiet. That means you're standing for the oppressor, and that's because you have been giving your hands like this. So what did you expect? You have to be subjected to your law. So I think it's high time now for Africa to really, really, really have a real independence, like what our ancestors, like what our founding fathers wanted to do. Thank you, Madam.
With what you just said, is YELF on the right path? Is the Young African Leaders Forum doing the right things to change the mindsets of Africans, especially we young Africans, so that we can avoid this new or upcoming colonization that we see is on the horizon?
Exactly. We as YALF, we're really, really standing on that. And that's why we can call ourselves a Pan-Africanism organization. We're really, really after African development. We're really, really after African future. That's what YALF have been campaigning through its driving force, like Young African Leaders Union of Development, harnessing the talent and skills from young people to influence policy making bodies. That's our core drive for it.
Okay, and what can you say about the people's appreciation of YELF? Let's take this to the youth. Are they appreciating what YELF is doing? Additionally, when it comes to other organizations, are they seeing the effort that Young African Leaders Forum is doing, and how are they trying to help them establish themselves and make sure that they are global and they are seen and they are heard, and what the youth are crying about is taken into consideration? This can be for you, Florian or Daniel. Both of you can take it.
Okay, thanks, Anita. Talking about the appreciation, we have seen young people. From YALF organization have been given even a table to contributing to national policy making bodies. We have seen YALF members and YALF ambassadors participating into amending their national investment policies. So this is a great achievement. It means that they know, most of the government, they know now what YALF is really doing now. By inviting someone to contribute on investment policies, making making changes to all investment policies, is a great deal for us. It shows us that the things our members and our youth are getting appreciated wherever they are. That's number one. And number two, we have seen our ambassadors I've been given a chance even to speak into international symposium, international conferences. So I think even globally, our efforts have been seen, and we are just really running good. So we have now to increase much effort on that, so that we can maintain that credit we have been given by the community. That's what I can say.
All right. Mr. Daniel, are you still with us, sir?
Yes, Anita, I'm here.
Okay. If I may ask, we're in January. The year just begun. We have 11 more months to carry us through 2024. What should we expect from YOLF this year? What should we look out for?
All right, thank you, Anita. So the YAF TV, Echoes of Africanism, is one that viewers out there and young individuals interested in African development should look out for. And this happened to be the first edition. And I think in the introduction it's already stated and established that will take place monthly. So we expect that viewers out there and young African leaders and the general public tune in and participate. Secondly, just like I spoke on earlier, the uh, next edition of volume of the Young African Leaders Development Journal is currently the call for articles and publication is on. And so we expect that everyone who have the expertise or is interested can come up with his or her publication on African related development write-up, and then have this published in the journal. We've also, for this year, 2024, we, as planned, we have the Pan-African Youth Summit, which is going to be taking place across several regions of the continent. For West African Youth Summit, East African Youth Summit, Southern African Youth Summit. The plans are still on, but we expect that young leaders at the general public will look out for these programs and join us towards having a wonderful Pan-African summit taking place in several regions. For the West African Youth Summit, it has been in Nigeria, but for 2024, we are looking forward or anticipating that the summit will be held in another West Africa country. Yes, and then I think just recently we've also started a YAF blog. So this is open to members of the community, of the network, and also the general public who wants to write and get their work featured on the YAF blog. So you can visit the website and then follow the process and share, so we can have that collective collection of capacity building, awareness, resources that really promote Africanism in our time. We've also have for this year 2024, the ongoing will be the Africa We Want speaker series and conference and workshop. So the dates for this workshop and the speaker series and conference will be published, and we expect that the general public sign up and then participate in this. So these are just a few run through of some of our programs for this year, and others that we have planned at the due time will be advertised, and we expect that individuals out there follow us on the social media platform towards being aware of when those specific programs will be implemented. Thank you, Anita.
Okay, and how can one apply to be part of YOLF, either as an ambassador or just a member?
Okay, so I think the first is really just to be aware, just to deepen interest and understanding of what the YAF objective and the mission by taking some time to explore the website and then seeing what has been done previously. or also the social media platform. So we have our contact information on the website. So anyone who is interested in joining can really connect with the YAF national body or executive towards being part of the network and then the community.
Okay. Thank you so much for that deliberation. Before we conclude this one, because this episode was just to give you a brief on YILF, what it stands for, and what it does. We were just sensitizing our viewers that when other episodes are to air, you know what YILF is and what we are about. Before we conclude this episode, I would love to call to stage the man who brought us all here, the man behind Young African Leaders Forum, the brain, Mr. Prince Ifu, to give us a statement of appreciation and just a little briefing on YILF. Mr. Prince?
Yeah, thank you so much, Anita, Daniel, Florian, for the very good work and for thank you so much, everything. Anita, Daniel, thank you. Florian, for the very good work.
We are surely having technical issues right there. But who you just seen on your screen, that was Prince Ifu, the brain behind YELF and the reason why we are here. I was hoping that we will hear a word from him, but unfortunately, again, we are having technical issues and the internet is acting up. But before we close, can you please share with us where we can where we can view information on Yelp, social media platforms? Oh, here he is again. Hi, welcome back.
Thank you.
Okay, you can just give our viewers an overview of who you are and what you stand for.
All right, thank you, Anita. Yeah, so I listened from this end and I saw that the very good works and the very good explanations by Daniel, Florian, and Anita about what we do at the Young African Leaders Forum. And this, for me, is a very fantastic opportunity for young people in Africa to join us, work with us, and collaborate with us as we build the Africa we all want together. And YAV is a Pan African organization, and it was founded in 2014 to be able to empower young people and provide a platform for them to reach out to more people. And so it's a beautiful opportunity to have to share this with my comrades and people all over the globe and getting to see what we do and how they could join what we do. And it's a very unique approach that we are taking now, and we hope that 2024 will be a unique year where we would impact more. And thank you for agreeing to do this, Anita and Florian, hosting this regular podcast. We believe that going forward we'll be able to improve the lives of many more youths using this podcast, reach out to them more, talk about some very bothering issues that are affecting young people, and make sure that we also build one very large audience and followership, and the community that we need to build here, and for the purpose of improving lives and bettering the lives that we have brought together, like we always do. So I'm very grateful. Thank you for your good works, and thank you.
Okay, in the next minute, because we're running out of time, how can one join to be a member? If
Yeah,
there's someone out there who's interested, how can they join?
okay. Yes. So to join YAF, just head on to the website yalf.africa, WAYLF, yalf.africa. Then when you log on to the website, you will see how to sign up as a volunteer, and then you could just fill the form, contact us, and then we would our recruitment team would get in touch with you and then take you through some interviewing process, and then you become a member. So that's it's as simple as that. But we are careful to recruit people to join our team because we want people who are Pan-African minded, who are minded about what exactly we want to change, who are thinking like our nationalist founders and not trying to compromise. Just we want people who can stay true to the African standards. So that's why we are unique about the way we create and recruit members to join our team. Thank you.
Okay. And can you please share your social media handles?
Yes. So Prince Ifo on all social media platforms. Prince Ifo. That's how to find me and reach me out.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I meant for your, not your personal
Okay.
handle. I meant for
Yeah. So
your.
in the same vein, Young African Leaders Forum on all social media platforms. That's how you find your Young African Leaders Forum on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Twitter. I think we could get Wale, the web person and the social media coordinator, to talk about that more. But that's just Young African Leaders Forum on all platforms, and then you become a part of our community. We also have a Facebook group and a Facebook page. Yes.
Okay. Thank you for that one. And thank you for going far and beyond and trying to change the mindsets of Africans and putting the youth up front to debunk and change this hierarchy that we see or hear about Africa. Thank you so much.
You're
With that
welcome.
being said, this is our first and official Echoes of Africanism podcast. Uh, we'll see you again next month, and this time around, we will be discussing important issues that affect Africa, issues that affect countries of Africa and the youth of Africa. And we will have more guests to share and just exchange knowledge about whatever that we may be discussing. For that, this is my part to say thank you so much. Florian?
Thank you very much, everyone. That's the end of our show. Let's meet on next show. Bye.